name is Carmen Pitchford. I am the owner of SewQute Embroidery Boutique in Plano. We're originally from California. We moved to Texas about 12 years ago. In my previous life, I worked in an office. My husband and I actually met when we both worked at Sega. We've moved on since then, obviously. He is still in networking, and I stayed home for the better part of 14 years to be with my kids. Then rather than entering the job market, a few years ago we decided to open the shop so that we can do something together. He and I both run the company together, and we're here every day with each other. It started off actually as a hobby. Like most hobbies start off, basically it was just something to keep me amused. My husband actually bought me my first machine to try to keep me from smoking. I used to do a lot of gardening so that I was outside and I could smoke. I never smoked inside the house, and he said that I needed a new hobby that kept me indoors more. So one year we were at the fair and he bought this embroidery machine for me. And so I started making things for friends and for family, and it just kind of evolved from there. The very first item that I actually sold was a tooth fairy pillow. My youngest daughter at that time was in kindergarten. She had a classmate that walked into class proudly saying that they lost a tooth the night before. So I told her that I'd make her a tooth fairy pillow. And her mother looked at me like I had a horn sticking out of my forehead because she didn't know what a tooth fairy pillow was. So I made this little pillow for her. And then when I brought it to class, all the other moms said that they would really love one for their kids too. So I ended up making 23 of them. And one of the moms actually said, you know, this is actually good enough. I would probably pay money for this. I said, really? So just as an idea and just to throw it out there, I made, I think, a total of 40. I didn't buy any more material than I had scraps laying around my house. I think the only thing that I bought at that time was the trim to go around the tooth fairy pillows. And I got a little table at swap meet, that's what we call it in California. It's just a little weekend event. And I think I sold 3 for that one weekend. But it was enough that, you know, it brought up my confidence that I could make things that people wanted, and it kind of evolved from there. I think that was in the beginning of the summer. By Christmas that same year, the machine was pretty much running all day and all night. So we had enough that we actually purchased an additional machine, and we just kind of kept going from there. I think now we're at about five machines in total. So it was always designed to just be at home, a home business that was just to provide an extra income. It was never supposed to be the primary source of income for us. But 3 years ago, my husband was unceremoniously retired by the company that we moved here for. And unfortunately, because of his age, marketability is a little bit low. So rather than him trying to re-enter the job market, we decided we'd just open the shop. Our normal focus as a company had always been for children's items. We sold tooth fairy pillows and blankets and bibs and such. By opening the shop, then we expanded our customer base to corporate apparel. So now we do logos on shirts and on jackets and on bags, things that some companies would probably use for marketing purposes. Because I'd pretty much been in business for about 10 years prior, I thought that I'd pretty much gone through everything, and that was not the case. We're having to deal with larger quantities, mass production, and that's something that's kind of new. I'm the only person that runs any of the machines here. My husband's kind enough to help me load and unload and set up when we do shows. We do trade days, both in McKinney and in Canton. But for the most part, he doesn't really do anything with production. So when, you know, the more work there is, the less sleep I get. I've had to learn to accommodate is basically the amount of work that we're doing now versus what we were doing before. That, and it's, you know, like I said, we used to do a lot of things for children. Now I'm having to deal with adults, and it's a whole different language altogether. With kids, I'm sorry to say, they're pretty much happy. I can put their name on anything, and as long as they can see their names, they're very happy and they show enthusiasm. Adults are not so easily, yeah, they're not easily pleased. When I was working before in an office, that's basically what it was. It was office work. You know, not to take away from that, but I've always considered myself to be very crafty. I am not artistic in any way at all. I have no medium, but I am crafty. And when I was working before, I tended to make stuff and just give them away because I wanted to be making things all the time. This actually gives me that outlet where I can make things, but instead of giving it away, people actually pay me for it.